Today on Week in Review, a local family continues to seek a missing loved one. A celebration of the Skeena Bridge's 100th anniversary was recently held, and another major terrace-based celebration is rapidly approaching. Hello, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all of the news here in the Northwest from this past week. Heartbreak and hope. Those are the emotions felt by a local family as their search continues for their loved one who was last seen near the Skeena River. Here's CFTK-TV's Helena Sante with some highlights.
In an emotional interview, the family shared the community he was well connected, and his disappearance has left them devastated.
Kelly, he worked in the sawmill out in Vanderhoof for a number of years, and he was down, he's from my community of Loch Lambs, and he got married, and they moved up to Vanderhoof there, and where he stayed there, but his family is all back. They all live down in Loch Lambs and in Rupert. He was down visiting, getting his food fish this year, and he was quite happy that he got I think it was 6 cases of salmon this year. So, and they were going to be going back up to Vanderhoof, and he has relations in Uskir, just outside of Terrace. That's where he was, and they were fishing down at the river. But it's been pretty tough on the family.
When asked how the community can help, Gary expressed deep gratitude, said the outpouring of support has already been overwhelming.
Well, there's been a lot of help that, there's been people donating food to bringing it to this place, and, where everybody gathers. And there's been a lot of support coming out, and one hotel that gave gas coupons to people that are searching, and gave a couple of rooms to if it's needed by the family, and so there's been a lot of support.
Due to high tides, the search has now been temporarily paused as crew awaits safer conditions to continue.
Well, they were searching when it first came out, but it's been pretty hard with the way the river is. Pretty strong, and so we're kind of waiting for the river to kind of drop a bit, and they're going to have a huge search on Saturday. The tide's been pretty miserable, so it's been pretty hard.
While the GoFundMe is active, Gary says their hearts are full of gratitude, and what matters most now is finding Thomas Kelly and bringing peace to the family. Helena Sante, CFTK-TV News.
The Kitimat RCMP said that earlier this week they were advised of a rafter possibly drowning on the Kitimat River near Nullabilla Creek along Highway 37. Kitimat RCMP then said that their officers attended and were able to locate a 79-year-old Kitimat resident who was confirmed to have drowned with the assistance of the British Columbia Conservation Service, Kitimat Search and Rescue, and the Kitimat firefighters and paramedics. The male was then able to be recovered and returned to Kitimat. The police last said that this appears to have been an unfortunate accident, and the investigation has been turned over to the BC Coroner's Service. It was a day of pride and excitement in Terrace last Friday as the community came together to celebrate a century of history, marking 100 years since the opening of the Skeena Bridge. Here's CFTK-TV's Helena Sante with more.
Despite the rain, around 60 residents came out to share in the milestone moment of the bridge's 100th anniversary, with vintage cars adding to the occasion. Though the official parade had wrapped up, we caught up with the celebration that followed. The stories were just as rich. The presence of some government officials added a sense of pride and significance to the celebration. From stories told to history relived, the 100th anniversary of Skeena Old Bridge offered more than a celebration, but also a moment of reflection on a great history and years of connecting people for generations.
My husband's grandfather came into Terrace in 1907, so he was around when the bridge was built. The big thing about the bridge is that it has, for 100 years, it has been connecting community. Terrace to Thornhill, Kittilas to Kitsimkalem, and all those other communities beyond. And it's a very important bridge, or it always has been.
Great support from Ministry of Transportation and Transit. They had to close the bridge. We had Emil Anderson staff that actually did the work on the ground. So I appreciate the support for that part of it, because it's in their domain. And so we're happy.
We had refreshments. The Salvation Army food van was here to have coffee and tea, and the Save On Foods donated a cake, complete with a picture of the bridge on top of the cake, and plus 100 cupcakes to serve everyone that had come. And so we are very thankful to the community support that was given.
Daryl shares a beautiful history on his 1964 Chevy, which was restored by a number of people in 2010.
My truck is a 1964 Chev, and it was restored in 2010 by several people. I can't take credit for all of it by any means. Back in 2010, and it's been restored quite a while now, but it still goes really well. I can go down the road as fast as I want, or slow.
It may have been a century-old bridge, but the celebration was full of life. Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News.
Up next, locals have some major worries about the Prince Rupert gas transmission project. Welcome back. The Terrace RCMP recently put out a notice where they asked for help from the public in order to identify the owner of a motorbike. Back on June 12th, the police found the bike in Thornhill, and in the months since then, they haven't been able to figure out who it belongs to. Anyone who can provide identifying features of the bike as well as proof of ownership is being asked to give a call to the Terrace RCMP at 250-638-7400. And sticking with the Terrace RCMP, they recently highlighted a pair of vehicle thefts that took place in their latest edition of their weekly update report. The first theft mentioned one where the RCMP got word that a motorbike was taken from a storage unit on Keith Avenue. The bike is said to be a 2019 Yamaha Enduro that is white and beige in color. And as for the other theft, a Polaris Sportsman ATV was seemingly taken from a property somewhere around Scarland Road. Anyone who has information about either of those cases is once again asked to call the Terrace RCMP at 250-638-7400. Approval to changes to the Prince Rupert gas transmission project's route and infrastructure have locals once again sounding the alarm on potential impacts to the area. CFTK-TV Jaylene Matthews reports.
In an assessment report published recently by BC's Environmental Assessment Office, they recommend approval to the requested amendments to the Prince Rupert gas transmission project. Changes which include rerouting 172 kilometers of pipeline, adds 2 additional main-spread construction camps, and accommodate marine facilities along with other project changes, all without a new environmental certificate. In the assessment documents, many local nations are listed as being consulted. Metlakatla is listed as raising concerns on consultation, and the Gitga'at, Gitakatla, and Kitsimkalem all stated consensus had not been reached on the recommendation to approve the amendment application. The EAO also lists that they received correspondence regarding the amendment from the Gitxsan, and it says they responded to concerns, although the Gitxsan have been very clear in their complete opposition to the project. It's written in the report that the Gitakatla, Gitga'at, Kitsalis, Niska, and DFO expressed concerns about insufficient baseline data along the marine route alternative area, particularly for identification of glass sponge reef locations to be avoided and protected. Along with other wildlife, Ulikin were listed of concern following review of the draft report. Laxqualams stated they remained concerned about impacts to Ulikin and were not satisfied with PRGT's Ulikin memo, believing it lacked key information. One critic of the project, Graham Pohl, details some proposed impacts.
So If you've got a road like, say, the Pope Forest Service Road in the Kispiox Valley here, the pipeline would cross that road at about kilometer 4.5, 5. They're going to put a work camp at kilometer 3. So if you go berry picking, firewood gathering, hunting up the Pope Road, you can't do that anymore. So and that's just one of many, many, many roads right across the province, not just here, that would be closed to public access.
He says it puts a huge area of BC out of commission.
Government is not telling you this. Industry is not telling you this. They will just invade and shut it down. And we've seen it with Coastal GasLink. We've seen it with Trans Mountain. This is what's coming. And people need to be aware that they're being basically lied to by their governments on this.
Poll also lists several environmental concerns, particularly emissions.
Pure methane, the volume of which you can't get a number from industry, will be vented. And along with being noisy, it's just, this is a greenhouse gas. This is the driver of climate change. Far more potent than carbon dioxide. It leaks everywhere through the pipeline industry process. And then it's intentionally flared, like at Kitimat, what's happening now. And it's intentionally vented as part of pipeline operations.
In their report, the EAO goes on to recommend a few new conditions before ultimately recommending to allow the changes to the certificate for the marine route alternative. For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
The biggest event of the summer in Terrace is set to arrive in less than a month. Now we look at a preview on what could be expected for 2025's version of Riverboat Days. With the summer season being in full swing, it's a great time for communities in the Northwest to put on the kinds of events that can be enjoyed by everyone. And in the city of Terrace, their most prominent celebration in Riverboat Days is set to arrive in only a couple of weeks from now. As per usual, there's expected to be a vast selection of activities to take part in.
We have our traditional programs, our parade, our concerts in the park. The other events like the movie in the park or the beach volleyball are booked. They're being planned. I'm sure we'll have some special events.
Last year's edition of the event also saw the debut of its drone show, a display where around 100 or so drones lit up the night sky and created some incredible imagery, with this year's version of the show supposed to have around 50 more drones to add to the experience, and like the previous year, it will take place at Christie Park. Some other featured events taking place include a slow pitch tournament, a basketball tournament, the Ski to Salmon art show, and concerts in the park, who's featuring Derek Miller as the headliner this year, alongside performers like the Infirmary and the Coastal Drifters. The entire celebration starts on August 1st and will last until August 10th, with more information being available on the Riverboat Days website. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. After the break, the Seniors Corner store has popped up at a new location. Welcome back. The rise of online shopping has sparked concerns among small businesses, and in Terrace, it's inspired action. CFTK-TV's Helena Sanse once again has more.
While competing with online retail remains tough, Shop Local Days brought a much-needed spark of engagement and connection with the community. Several businesses took part, offering deals and events to reconnect with their customers. A local shop owner shared her reason behind the initiative.
Shop Local Days is just a campaign that I started to kind of bring back the focus to local businesses during Amazon Prime Days. It's very easy for people in this world to just click a button, you have what you need at your door. But I wanted to bring the focus back to Terrace and all the amazing small businesses that we have in town here.
It's nice that we were able to participate in Shop Local because it is important for other businesses that we all jump on board. Our customers come in who are looking for our product and our services and are surprised there's a sale on. We didn't expect it to be much more than that. However, we'll continue our sale right through the rest of the summer.
Brittany acknowledged the support but also highlighted the growing challenges local shops face due to the rise of online shopping.
It's definitely a challenge for bookstores because when we order in special books, it won't be on your doorstep in 2 or 3 days. It might take 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. But I think the biggest thing that we offer is we are booksellers, so we are able to make personalized recommendations to our customers. We know what you've been reading, we know what you may like. There's a much more personal touch with coming into a bookstore.
Shop local days specific, like the 8th to the 11th, that was definitely a slow period. But the weekend picked up. This was the first time I did the shop local, and now next year people will know if we do it again, so then they'll be prepared. Because we've got an awesome business community here in Terrace with really, really cool people, so I wanted to be a part of that to get people to remember that, you know, these small businesses rely on them.
Despite the challenges, few shop owners say the initiative brought renewed energy and a reminder that shopping local isn't just tradition, it's essential. Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News.
Now we'll take a look at what the Skeena Valley Senior Society has recently done with their local store known as the Seniors Corner. After losing their spot in the Skeena Mall last year when their lease wasn't renewed, the future was uncertain for the Seniors Corner store. But now the creation of the Skeena Valley Senior Society is back up and running once again, and it's in a spot that many people likely would not have pictured immediately.
Seniors Corner on the Farm is the replacement for Seniors Corner in the Mall, for those that know that place. We are hoping to foster a sense of community and a sense of support for our seniors and their families. We're utilizing an old above-ground root cellar that was built in 1965 on the Browers Farm land on Bronze Island, which is 6 minutes from downtown Terrace. And we believe that it's not too far for people to come, and we have rides available for people who need rides.
Currently, the farm location of the store has been active for about 6 weeks and is also acting as a test of sorts so that the society can determine if this version of the store is truly viable. And for those wondering if the services and items that the store provides are any different from before, that does not appear to be the case outside of the smaller scale.
We are still providing the things that we provided when we were Seniors Corner in the mall, in that we are passing on medical aids for people. We are still passing on all the things that we had there, basically. So it's a place where you can gather, where you can sit and visit, where you can volunteer and find value in your day, add value to other people's days, shop economically, and donate where you feel we might benefit someone.
One additional benefit of the store being on the farm is that the society has the space to grow food, and they have taken advantage of that by selling homegrown raspberries, with plans for more produce to show up at the store in the future. The store is open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Monday through Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. An important release from notable nonprofit United Way BC is now available for everyone to see. With the province currently being in the midst of another wildfire season, United Way BC decided that it would be a good time for them to release their updated social sector activation guide for host communities. And in a recent interview, United Way's Director of Community Impact and Investment, Christy Rintoul, gave a bit of a summary on what makes up that guide.
It's a really straightforward, free tool for communities to use in case of a large-scale evacuation or a small-scale emergency wherein folks with extra vulnerabilities may need some support. So I guess to simplify, really it's a framework on how to pull together the social sector to support ESS and emergency services when there's evacuations.
The guide's initial creation came in response to the major atmospheric river flooding that took place back in 2021. But in the years since the guide was made, United Way BC has figured some ways to improve it after making some observations of people who seem to need extra support during these kinds of emergencies.
What we learned through that is that there's a lot of local charities who have the expertise to support those folks in those emergencies, but asking what those needs are when the crisis occurs is too late. We need to figure out a way to mobilize those people, organize those charities, ensure we understand the capacity before the event. So what this guide does, and what we what we created was a guide to support communities like Terrace, to bring together all those local partners, local champions. We all know who they are, the charities who step in, those, the clubs and the volunteers who step in during emergencies. Organize those folks before an event. And then when the event takes place, the emergency services have a really clear understanding of who to call and what they can offer to support to fill any needs or gaps that they're seeing.
The guide isn't solely restricted to these large-scale emergencies either, as it also gives advice on how communities can assist with smaller-scale emergencies.
This guide could be utilized if there was, say, an apartment fire and 20 people were displaced. Chances are those 20 folks are going to need more than just a safe place to go that night. They may have extenuating needs that the social sector, the charities in the community, can support. So having this guide and these templates filled out before something like that happens enables the ESS or emergency management folks a one-stop shop to be able to figure out who's who do I need to call to make sure this senior gets the supports they need, this young mother gets the supports they need, this person with extra vulnerabilities gets the supports they need that already exist in the communities that they live.
People seeking to take a look at the guide for themselves can find it on United Way BC's website. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. Still to come, the BC provincial government is being urged to make a certain investment. Welcome back. Earlier in the week, the City of Terrace officially put a Stage 2 water restriction into effect due to the weather forecast calling for some serious hot days in the near future. That particular restriction means that sprinkling is no longer allowed from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. throughout the entire city, and it can be only done between 6 and 9 a.m. or from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. There are also designated days for certain addresses to do their sprinkling, as odd-numbered addresses can only do so on Wednesdays and Sundays, and even-numbered addresses can use Tuesdays and Saturdays. A group known as the First Nations Climate Initiative is urging the provincial government to invest in and enable a concentration of First Nations-led projects or partner projects, mainly in the Northwest, worth over $60 billion. Representative Alex Grabowski says it's a collaboration led by 4 nations, the Metlakatla, Halfway River, Haisla, and Nisga'a First Nations.
And they've been working together now since 2018 on ways and means for First Nations to contribute to climate change mitigation and adaptation, while also alleviating poverty in their communities. And they're involved in development activities that they want to make sure contribute to decarbonization of the economy here in Canada as well as overseas.
Grabowski says one of the key areas in which the group would like to see growth is in government investment in transmission lines to power these projects, as well as policy changes that will ensure smooth processes, and working with the provincial government to ensure benefits are shared between the province and ratepayers as well as their First Nations partners. That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. Make sure to tune in to our regular newscast on Monday at 5, 6, 6:30, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thank you for tuning in and have a good weekend.